button. Hope everybody is doing well today. Hello there, Nin. Hello there, Brenda. So we just have one question today from Nin. So I'm going to unmute you for this one, Nin, so we can have a discussion about this one. Okay, so you said, Frenchie, I would love to hear your take on what pain points do your customers have ordered the book on Amazon that you recommended, because I'm having that same stumbling block. Yeah, that was definitely something I struggle with all the time. Ideally, my customers are the elusive explorers, and I must fight for their attention. But once I have it, I must stimulate their need to learn, create a pattern that attaches a positive memory as they knit, and it's something they can use while they explore. Yikes. These the features and benefits or addressing their pain points. Help. Okay, hello there, Ursula. So that's a really interesting question because I would say that, so basically the whole features versus benefits thing is like, features of a pattern is that it's, for example, let's say a shawl, crescent shaping, has lace stitches. Like, you're just telling what it is, versus the benefits of, like, you know, when you're knitting up the shawl, it's a very relaxing experience and things like that. I actually consider the benefits the same thing as addressing pain points. For me, it was just like giving it a new name and for it to click better in my mind. So these things that you're talking about here, it creates a pattern that attaches a positive memory as they knit it. That can be addressing the pain point for them instead of just it being a simple benefit. Is that helping a little bit?
Oh, I can't
sorry.
hear you.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
I think so. Actually, I can't hear you quite because I think my internet connection is kind of fizzing out.
1 second. Let's see. Everybody else, can you hear me? Maybe I need to.
You're frozen. I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, I'm going to turn off my video. Maybe that will help with your internet connection. Oh no. Let's see.
I'm just going to quickly shout at my husband to maybe stop streaming whatever he's doing. 1 second.
Okay. In the meantime, Brenda, did you have any questions? No questions? Okay. I mean, if you do have questions, you know what to do. Just post them in the chat. Ursula, do you have any questions? You can just pop it in the chat. Okay. Ursula, if you do have any questions, just pop them in the chat and then I will answer them. So Nin, so basically what I was saying is that the benefits and the pain points, they're the exactly same thing. It's just a different name for the same thing. That's how I view it.
Okay.
Yeah, so you got the book. Did you order a hard copy or is it a digital?
I ordered the hard copy, but now
okay.
I'm thinking
good.
I really
so you haven't
want the
gotten
audio.
Okay, so you haven't gotten it yet. Okay, that's cool. Because basically in this book, so the book that she's talking about is the one that I posted in the Facebook group a couple days ago. That's called Building a Story Brand. And it was a book that I just picked up because I have an Audible subscription and I realized that I had some extra credits for the month. I was like, okay, I'm going to use this to get a new book to listen to. And I came across this one. And so I started listening to it and I just immediately got hooked because if you follow me and also Chelsea of Knit Fit Your Fireballs College, we like to talk a lot about using stories in our posts, stories in our branding and stuff like that. For me, I've always struggled with the concept of like, what is a storytelling post? How do I tell stories in my brand effectively and stuff like that? And the first way to do that was talking about, myself, my inspiration, how I started to design and my journey and stuff like that. But that was just the first part of the puzzle, like we take the archetype test that also helps us really find out who we are. The second part is bringing in your customer, your ideal client into that story as well. And this book was really good for that because I'll read the first sentence from it because it completely changed my entire perception of this. So it says in the introduction, it says, this is not a book about telling your company's story. A book like that would be a waste of time. Customers don't care about your story. They care about their own. Your customer should be the hero of the story, not your brand. This is a secret every phenomenally successful business understands. And when I read the sentence, your customer should be the hero of the story, not your brand, that just started shifting things in my head, because I always kind of, because when you talk about yourself, so like, as you know, especially in my case, when you start talking about and sharing your story, you start coming off as the hero, like, I like to do this, I want to help out the world in this way. And then when I got this reading that the customer needs to be the hero, that started shifting things. So basically, like, our brands serve as a guide to help your customer in their journey to getting from one place to another. Am I making? Sorry. Yeah, this is the reason why I don't teach marketing. I'm just, trying to, there's much better people, so I'm trying to just, share this right here. But for example, the way that I see this, like, just to maybe contextualize it for knitwear designers. So I once used this analogy a while back. So I like to consider my brand as Merlin, Merlin from Camelot. He's the, grand wise wizard who hides up in his tower all day. He creates all these magic spells and things like that. He is the guide to King Arthur and all these other knights and stuff like that. So I like to consider myself as the Merlin. I get to do all these great things, but it's actually like the King Arthurs and their knights who are actually going out and doing and changing the world, like having a wider impact on the world. So I consider my knitwear, like, as a knitwear designer, I create these guides and spells for people to knit up, which they can use then to make a change in their own lives. And actually, like, they're the ones actually making a change and difference in their own spheres. Like, if that makes sense. I'm just trying to share what's, how I was connecting the dots in my mind, since I'm an alchemist brand. Like, the explorers, explorer archetypes, I mean, the concept of a guide works really well, because you're taking them on this journey, helping to get from point A to point B, but they are actually going on that, taking action to go on that journey with you, just showing them the way. But, in the end, it's still really up to your customers to actually take action on that, if that makes sense. Yeah, the way that I do work, like, I show you what to do, but in the end, it's really you and your hard work that's able to get you to where you want to be. So, yeah. Anyway.
So, like, I know with Jeep, like the Jeep branding, like, they provide you with the vehicle where you can go out and explore and do all this crazy fun stuff, and then look so cool.
Yes, exactly.
So I was thinking, well, with knitwear, I was thinking with knitwear design, maybe my ideal customer wants to explore a different cultural technique, maybe. And that way they learn something, and they're living it. Like, they're going to use that. It's going to be part of their repertoire, their wardrobe. They're actually going to, so I'm just kind of thinking now, how would I actually say that in my about page? The storytelling part.
Yeah, so that's actually really good. So that's so with the book, he with the audiobook, it comes with a lot of bonuses, and one of them is, like, you get to create a free account, because, so let me see, back it up. So that's actually, like, this point that we're talking about, addressing the pain points, is actually like step 2 in, like, a 7-part process that he develops for creating your story brand. The very first part is actually defining what your customers' desire is, like what they want to do and what they're seeking. And then the second part is being able to articulate what their pain points are, because your customer wants something because they want that thing to help get rid of some sort of pain point that they have in their life. And then your brand is going to come in to help solve that. So it's like 7 different parts in that series. But, when you get the book, you'll be able to, he'll obviously explain a lot better than I do. So once you get through that first part, and the second part, this that we're discussing right now, this pain points, and actually try to figure out how to put that all together, it comes in a lot easier. And actually at the end of, like, the third chapter, the third part of the book, he actually does talk about how to put that up on your website, on your homepage, on your about page and stuff like that. So, which I was like, yes, thank you for actually showing me how to actually put this into practice. So it's just, he just does it for the website, but I'm pretty sure, figuring out how to use it on social media and stuff like that. I've already a book going in this much depth, like showing his structure for writing a story brand or writing a storytelling post. And then how to, like, going into each part of it, and then how to apply it has been really helpful. Let's see. Brenda, have you made any changes yet as a result of reading the book? Right now, I'm just going through and like just writing my notes down, but I do plan on updating my website just to simplify some areas. And it's definitely been really helpful for me when I'm writing up my newsletters for like any new pattern releases that I got going on, just seeing, using that format, because the format that he gives can be applied to pretty much anything in your brand. He does recommend to start with your overall brand first, so that way you don't overcomplicate things and make it just too overwhelming. But he said that you could do it for each of your audience archetypes or avatars. You could do it for each of your products. And so the ways I could see that doing it for each of my patterns as well, taking that same format and doing that there as well. So I just got the book a few days ago, so I've just been doing the exercises, but I definitely plan on doing some small little changes here and there, especially on my website, and even testing how to do it on social media. Just changing the language a little, instead of focusing on me, changing the language to like, you can do this, or you are the magic maker and things like that. Just, just these small subtle shifts that hopefully, make a big difference. But it definitely really helped me in understanding and making it click in my mind how it all fits together. That was like the biggest thing for me, because we hear all this all the time about like, you have to address your customers' pain points, or you have to, solve their problems and stuff like that. I was like, okay, but like, how do we do that? Can we get a little bit more into that? And this book was really helpful for that, for me. Let's see. Is it too soon for me to read, or just try to use the info in this book when I've just started? I think it's a good idea just to, because this is definitely a book I wish I had when I first started out. But I definitely know that this has all been a journey for me, first discovering who I am, my mission and my values and my purpose and stuff like that. Like, I needed the time to actually get that out, because if I try to do everything, I would be really stressed out. But I think having this book on hand right at the beginning, it's a good resource, so at least, you're going in a straighter path, I would say, instead of wandering around like me. Because now I've been working on, basically my archetype for this past year. Now I'm starting to really shift over into the customer section, like my ideal client and stuff like that. So, but it's a book that I would recommend for everybody. But just know that it is a journey. So don't worry if you don't get it straight away, because it takes time. So yeah. Does that help, Brenda? Okay, awesome. And Ursula, did you have any questions? I noticed that you had your mic off when I was asking you before, but I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing anything from you.
No, I'm just a little clunky with the phone interface.
Oh, okay. It's all right. Yeah. Okay. All righty. Do we have any other questions, you guys? That was a really good question there, Nan. Any other? Did you want me to go back and clarify anything for you? Or I think we're good. Let's see, I see Brenda typing something, so I'll just wait a second there. I am currently trying to figure out how to get the Google Invites working, because the link I put in is not working for people. Like, you just click on the link and it'll just put into your Google Calendars. So you get like a notification like 10 minutes beforehand when the next call is, and also have a link to the Zoom in there. But the tech, that's new tech for me, so I'm trying to figure that out. Okay, and let me see, anything else? This is the 6 weeks point for me. Do these sessions continue? I'm getting a lot out of these. Yeah, I plan on doing this pretty much as long as you guys need me. I guess I was planning on doing these weekly coaching calls for like this until I reopen Swatch Studio again. But let me see. Yeah, I'll continue doing these as long as you need me. I mean, thinking because of these weekly calls, I was thinking the next time I do Swatch Studio. Of course, this doesn't apply to you because you got in before this, but like if I was going to open Swatch Studio for future enrollments, I might do like a subscription plan. It's because these weekly coaching calls, they do take up time. I'm not saying this to complain, but I'm just saying, because it is a service that I might provide. So I'm thinking maybe next time I'll do like a monthly thing. But with you guys, obviously, you already paid the lifetime access, so this whole monthly subscription thing wouldn't apply to you. So you get this forever. And I'll continue doing these calls as much as you need. And also on my website, I do have individual one-on-one coaching calls. Like, you can do like a free 15-minute one. So if I did stop doing these calls, if you did a question that you wanted to talk to me one-on-one with, I do have those 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or however long you need for those. But I will continue with these ones, definitely until like until like next February or something like that. That's for sure. So you got me, so I am yours. Alrighty, great question. Any other questions, you guys? Before, I think we just had that one question, so that's all you need me here for today. That's totally fine. I'm going to go back and finish up this. Actually, I'm going to show you what I'm working on. I'm going to finish up this design right here and possibly listen to more of the audiobook and get some more work done on that. So yeah, even though I've got some homework I need to do. And then, yeah. So hope everybody has a great rest of their week. Watch out, keep it heads up. There's a new episode of the Yarn Alchemist podcast. Great question. I guess I can't say goodbye yet. Okay. Let's see, I might be teaching this summer at a retreat. Any good suggestions or tips that you can share? That is super awesome. By the way, Brenda, is this a knitting retreat? Let's see, let's get you off mute.
Yes. Yeah, it'd be for a weekend in June.
Cool. So what will you be teaching exactly?
Well, I'm not sure yet. I sent a couple of ideas to the designer. It's actually a Yarny who's putting together the retreat. Mm-hmm. So one of the ideas was tips and suggestions and cool tricks for your knitting, how to improve your knitting, how to get faster, how to do better blocking, all kinds of stuff that I've come across over the last 10 years or so of knitting.
Cool. That's awesome.
And possibly magic loop knitting, how to do it, one sock at a time or a hat, something like that.
Cool. So the question you're asking me is any tips or suggestions about leading a workshop that I could share? Let's see.
Stage fright.
Yeah, so I know I've been doing live streams and things like this, over the computer for like over a year now. But I did have my first in-live workshop event when I went to Australia a couple weeks ago, and it was very much different from doing live streams because with live streams, even though you're talking to people, you don't actually see them, you just see numbers, and maybe you'll see people commenting, but you don't have that eye-to-eye contact right there. Yep. So when I did the workshop, even though there was like 8 people there, I realized people looking at me and stuff. So it's just let's see. I know that like Chelsea before I got up and started talking, she handed me a water bottle. So she said, you can use this water bottle to fidget with. If you're feeling nervous, just have something in your hand so you could like squeeze or strangle or something like that. I didn't need that because I was kind of like moving all over the place, just pointing out things and things like that. Ursula says attendees really like handouts. Yeah, definitely prepare some worksheets. Yep. And don't be afraid to be like, okay, let's take a pause here and let's actually put this into practice. So if you want them to actually knit up or practice the technique, that's totally okay to do. I didn't really do that in mine because I was definitely kind of a little bit flustered, but the other presenters, they definitely took the time to say like, okay, we've talked about this. Now let's take a moment let's open our phones and go onto Instagram and do some little bit of research right now. So not only is that like the attendees are able to leave with something like they did something, but also helps you fill in the time and they're focused on something else so you can take a breather. So I think that could be really helpful, but definitely worksheets are really good.
How much info do you include in your worksheets? I've seen some from designers that are very sparse. That leaves you doing a lot of the note-taking in class, and sometimes you miss stuff, and others are, I don't know, more generous, I guess, with what's on the page. What's a good balance there?
I think let's see. For me, it's always like, meet them in the middle. You want them to take some notes so that way they're paying it, like, they're actively engaged and they're listening to you, and them taking notes is like them showing, like, demonstrating that they're paying attention, but again, you don't want to have them do everything that then miss something else that you say. So maybe it could be like, I don't know, like a little fill in the blank section. That's one thing that one person on a webinar call that I noticed that she did. She had like a sentence and then like she had a little fill in the blank. So that way in those parts we knew to really pay attention and to write down the stuff and that we were really engaged. So that's one thing that I've seen. Also, I mean, maybe you could ask yourself, what do you like to see in workshops? Do you like to take lots of notes, or do you prefer designers to be really generous with that stuff? Or let's see,
I like all I can get.
Yeah, so if you want to give them a whole bunch of information, maybe let's see, Ursula, she says I use an outline format. So maybe
That's a good idea.
Yeah, so maybe Ursula, have you led workshops before or done classes? Maybe if you have, you could share some of your experience with Brenda.
It was this year. I was invited to speak for our knitting guild, and in conjunction with that, I led a class. And so one really good point is to put your name and information on that when you hand it out.
I didn't.
Yeah, I forgot. But it's depending on the size of the group, it can be a really personal experience for them, and it's more like talking to a group of friends, which was my experience. It wasn't a huge group, but
definitely the size of the group that I taught it was 8 people. That was definitely a very nice group to start with. If it was more than that, I think it would have been a little bit less, because with this 8 group of people, I actually knew most of them. Like some of them were students from Spot Studio, so I'd be like, hey Jess, like why don't you help me out here? Like I could call out people and stuff like that. So that was really helpful. I mean, for the worksheet that I did, since it was on challenges, like I broke up, like I just basically, because for my workshop, I did one section, like just talking about the theory of challenges, and the second part was put into practice, having people develop their own challenges. So I made the worksheet out of the practice part right there, and just basically put down all the main points for setting up a challenge on that worksheet. And then if they wanted to take notes on the side, they can do that. So yeah, I like the outline form, because that's pretty much what I did. So. Also, it did help that my workshop was also recorded, so if they missed something, they could always go back and rewatch it. So I'm probably not sure if that's going to be an option for you, but if
it's
a
camping retreat. So.
Yeah, so not really, yeah.
It's supposed to be relax and unplug. That's the theme of the retreat. So
Okay.
I'm assuming there's nothing like that going on.
Okay, yeah. So if it's relaxed and unplugged, then I think giving them like all the information of like as much information as you can, so that way they're not like, oh, I missed what you just. I mean, how many people are going to be at the retreat or in your workshop? Do you know?
She's hoping for about 20 people sign up to go, and I don't know how many instructors she's having. She's planning on at least 4 or 5 2-hour classes, and whether they run concurrently or not, I'm not sure quite yet. She's just in the planning phases of it.
Okay, because if it was like a smaller group of like 5 to 10 people, then it would be okay if somebody was like, oh, could you repeat that again, and just have it a bit more relaxed. If it was 20 people, then you want to have a little bit more structured, or else it could really easily go off the rails, I'm sure. But definitely, I think giving them the information up front, especially if you want to keep it nice and relaxed, so people don't feel stressed out if they miss something, I think that could be helpful. Outline/generous, I think.
Yep.
But it's just really up to you and how you feel about just always thinking about like how you would like to see classes done. I think it's usually like a good place to start.
Okay, great.
Of course, I think the best way to do it, to really determine, is ask the attendees ahead of time if that's even possible, to see like, do you like taking notes or having all the information there for you? Because that will tell you exactly what they want. But if that's not possible, then just start with yourself. So
I think one advantage of giving them everything is that they're not taking notes, but they're actually listening to what you're saying. And I think maybe you'd get less of the what did you say sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because you're not taking notes and missing it like I do.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you could do probably like a little fill in the blank section, so that way they're just that way that that they're really engaged and not just like daydreaming. Although I feel maybe some of them, to help with like staying focused, they will be knitting as well, because definitely at the event we had people knitting, which was kind of like was both weird and cool because all these other events I've been to before, it was just mostly, entrepreneurs in different fields. So I would be the only one at these events knitting. I would feel really weird. So when I went to the live event for 5 entrepreneurs, everybody was knitting. It was just like, oh, right. We're all paying attention still. So, and as Ursula says, that's what most speakers at our guild do. Cool. So I guess, Brenda, if you do have any extra questions, you could possibly reach out to Ursula, if that's okay. I don't want to put you on the spot there, Ursula, if you don't want to.
Hi, Ursula.
Of course. Hi. No, I just keep muting it in case I make extra noise on accident.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. You're fine. So, again, you can also ask me as well. But also, good luck. And that's really exciting for you for this retreat thing. That's super awesome. Excited for you. Definitely let us know how it goes. Excited. Yeah.
Oh, I will.
It's both exciting and nerve-wracking, but like the first time, like once you've done it the first time and you survived it, when you do it again for the second, third, and whatever times, you're like, yeah, whatever, I got this. I did it first. The first time is always the scariest because you don't know, like, you just like, I've never experienced it before, but once it's over, you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
So, very empowering, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's the same for, like, when I did my first live stream, I was freaking out, and then the second and third ones just came easier. So just go with the flow. Alrighty. Any last questions? We all good? Yes?
Yep. All good.
Alrighty. So I will start saying goodbye. There will be no more extra questions popping up. Okay. Alrighty, everybody. Thank you, Brenda and Ursula, for joining. And also Nin as well. I think she had to hop off because of internet problems. But I'll get this recording up in the Slack and the Facebook group, as well as the Google Calendar invite. Could you guys test that link for me just to see if it works? And if it doesn't, then I will continue messing around with this to make sure it actually does work.
Where's the link?
In the Facebook group.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I clicked on that one, and that one just opened up the calendar. It like just went to calendar, and I don't know what was supposed to happen. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It was
something
meant to
special.
No. Okay. So yeah, something special was meant to happen. It was meant to put like these weekly calls on your calendar, so that way you would receive a notification. Because like everybody, and me included, sometimes I forget when these calls are because of the time. Time zones.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I'll get that fixed up. Alrighty. Thank you so much, everybody, and I'll see you next week, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.